Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hi, and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass. With me today is my friend Nkiru Asika. Say hi, Nkiru.
Hi, Nkiru.
I should know better than to do that intro because everybody does that too. Says hi to their own name, but it tickles me. I love dad jokes and dad humor, so it's fantastic. I'm so glad to have you on the show because I know we first met back when you were coaching with me a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And oh God, I remember you coming to the calls. You were always such a bright light in all of those. Ask such great questions. And I really love what you're working on because you're getting ready to launch something new. And I know before the call, we were talking a little bit about kind of the head trash and the nerves that come with putting something out there that's brand new, especially when it's attached to a mission that's very important to you. Do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, just want to say I'm so excited to be here. I remember back then when coaching with you in Copy Chief, shout out Copy Chief, shout out RFL. Mm-hmm. And you talked about permission to kick ass. And I'm like, oh my God. And now here it is. And it's a podcast and I'm on the show. And this is awesome. So
it came to reality finally after years of talking about it.
So I'm super excited to be here. And every time I hear the word head trash, I think of Angie Coley because I just see that as your word.
We're going to kick head trash to the curb. Yeah, that is my mission.
Dumping our head trash. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's something we all struggle with, but I think that women struggle with more than men. I mean, you know that saying that all every woman needs is the confidence of an average white man, and it's just so true. I mean, I'm focused on everything I'm doing now is focused on like helping women build their brand authority, essentially. So. I target women, coaches, consultants, anyone who's selling like their advice or their knowledge or their expertise, because then you you basically personify your brand, right? It's not like selling widgets. It's you putting yourself out there, and it's just that much harder and that much scarier. But also it's so important, I'm passionate about it because part of the reason why there is that woeful, shameful gap in wages, gap in terms of, venture capital to women-owned firms, gap in terms of, corporate leadership, underrepresentation everywhere is, yes, there is the sexism, there's the, institutional racism, there's all those things, but also as women, we also don't step up the same way. And we just have to be kind of like honest about that. We still have that thing of thinking our work is going to speak for us, or, if we're just really talented, people will notice us. No one's going to notice you. Like you have to put yourself out there, right?
It's interesting too, because like I have a corporate background and I remember that like a very passionate idea person, and I would pitch something and usually get shot down because it was too bold, it was too crazy, it was too off-brand, it was too risky. But then a man, usually a young white man, would pitch something very similar within a week or two of me sharing my idea, and it was brilliant and innovative and forward-thinking and just the kind of breath of fresh air that we need around here. I'm like, guys, we have a fucking problem here.
Yep.
This is not. But then, like stepping up and taking credit for an idea that was clearly yours is an additional challenge. Like, why do I have to fight to prove that this idea that I shared is the same idea that this person shared? I don't understand. Oh.
Exactly. No, I think so many women, would have experienced that in at work. That's why it's even more kind of like tragic when you're now running your own business and then you put yourself in the same prison.
Yes.
It's like you look online and then it's like, there's all these people claiming to be gurus and this and that. And, everybody just looks like they have everything together. And then you just think, oh God, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add. So I'll just
Oh God.
I'll
No,
just do my stuff.
Okay, you and I are going to dismantle this. We're going to destroy this idea of like everybody has to have their shit together to get things done. I think that's exactly why this podcast exists, because to me, it was eye-opening the first time I met another entrepreneur that was like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Like, I don't know if I could do this. And I was like, oh my God, you too? I'm not actually alone. And so I wanted to bring that out there to the world, because especially with the newer entrepreneurs and the people that are really just taking this bet on themselves for the first time, they do exactly like you said. Exactly like you said. They look at all these other people around them and go, oh shit, that person has it all together. How do I even compare to that? Spoiler alert, you're comparing your internal shit show to their polished front stage Broadway show.
Exactly. As they say, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle.
Yes.
You know, but it's, I mean, I'm saying it like I've got it all like sorted out, but I do the same thing. I have to just keep reminding myself, because that's what I'm trying to tell other people. Right.
And I think that was the funny part of me coaching in the programs that we were in together with RFL, because a lot of the students that I've coached through there resonate with me because they think that I'm this confident, like ass kicker and I know everything and blah, blah, blah. And so many of them are shocked to find out that I deal with so much anxiety. And I'm like, no, like everything that I am teaching you is from deep personal experience in the agony of punching myself in the face and believing that I'm not good enough to do this. And just trying to find tricks to overcome that, or at least get me to the very next step where I'd start this cycle over again and just focused on getting to the next step. You know? Right. Oh, so tell us about this thing that you're launching, because I'm excited about that.
Okay, well, so essentially during the pandemic last year, I started coaching a few women on building their brand authority, essentially. So I was taking people through sort of like one-on-one. I was kind of like creating the program as we went along, but it was sort of great. It was focused really coming from the angle of sort of clarity around who you are, who you serve, your message, creating some kind of signature framework, packaging your expertise, you know, and then, you know, applying online tools to amplify. So I really sort of enjoyed that, but I've also realized from coaching these few people that I did not want to be I just didn't want to be a coach.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's not like, for everyone.
Yeah, I'm very much an introvert, and after it would just kind of like take a lot out, you know. I was like, this is really tiring. Like, this is really like, you know.
It really does take a lot of energy out. So first of all, if you're considering being a coach, it is a very big energy expenditure, especially if you consider yourself to be empathetic. You can really because I feel a lot of the pain and the anxiety that my students are going through. And so I feel it probably pretty closely to what they feel, I think. And it takes a lot of energy out of me.
Yeah.
And second of all, I'm going to go this rant. Here we go. My little mini rant about coaches is that there are too many damn people out there who think that they can tell you what to do. If you have a coach who comes to you and says, this is what you need to do to solve your problem. Nope. I don't care if your instincts are saying no. I don't care if it doesn't feel right. You just need to do this thing. Trust me.
Right.
No, I don't agree with coaches like that. The best coaches, I think, are the ones that train you to rely on yourself and trust your own instincts. And they ultimately want you to not work with them anymore because you're so comfortable trusting in yourself. Okay, so that's rant over.
100 high five, double high five. I feel you. I mean, that's all that kind of like, yes, it's my way. Do this, you must do this, do it this way, this method. But you know, no.
Like there are simple tactics and strategies that work for a lot of people, but they still don't take into account all of the hundreds of little factors that impact somebody's life on a personal, individual level. So yes, recommend strategies that have worked for you. And if you're a coach, give your students the freedom to experiment with the system or reject your idea and try something else that feels good to them. But the point is, get them to take action. Don't get them to follow your system. All right, there we go.
No, I love that. I 100% concur, especially when someone is new, I remember being, coming into this whole sort of online thing newly, and it's so intimidating. Like if you've never like been in this world, I mean, literally, I thought copywriting was like, I'm really one of those people who probably thought it was like something to do with patents. I mean, I didn't know anything about,
Circle R.
Yeah, literally, I didn't know anything about online marketing, direct response, nothing. So it's very easy to be intimidated. So if somebody just sort of says to you, this is the way, this is the thing, blah, blah, you start thinking, okay, I've got to do that. It's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. And then if it's not sitting with you, or you think it's you that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then the flip side of that coin, I think, is that, like I said, it teaches people to rely on the coach, but it also, I don't know, it limits your thinking in a way, because you're focused on what are the right steps in the right order. And if I copy these exact steps in this exact order, I should theoretically get to success.
Get the same results, even though I'm a completely different person in a totally different circumstance.
Following the prescribed steps is exactly how I wound up a divorcee at 24. Like, because, you date someone and you get engaged and you move in together and you buy a house and all of this like you follow all the steps and you get married and happiness. Shit, this isn't working the way I thought it was supposed to. Right. No, you don't follow the prescribed steps. Like the whole point is to take a step that feels good, figure out what's working and what's not working, think about what you want to do next, and then just keep going. Like it's not, I was sorry, this is like fresh on my mind because I was at a marketing conference this weekend and there were so many people that were getting bogged down in details. Like, where do you write? Google Docs. Next question. But why Google Docs? Because it automatically saves anything in case my computer crashes. Next thing. But what about the design? Put it in fucking Canva. Stop. You're getting too hung up on the tiny little steps that don't, and you're giving no thought to the overall thing. Like if you're getting stopped at where do I write this? Just pick a thing and write is the answer. How do I design this? Just pick a thing and design.
But that's also a form. That's also a form of hiding, right? That's, I mean, hey, I've done that, instead of getting ready for so it's just to go back. So I realized I didn't actually expand on what it is that I'm going to be doing. So like I was saying, it's coaching women, building a brand authority. So this is the whole sort of brand that I'm building now. It's called Women Building Authority. That's the name of my Facebook group. I'm launching a membership. I've done a summit. I'll do other events. I'm involving Angie in a secret way that no one knows yet.
Ooh, she just called me out.
So it's essentially membership services. I've started an agency that will be focused on supporting these women, because really, again, it's coaching, it's strategy, it's implementation. So it's not you've got to you need help actually getting the stuff done too. And my big sort of why, like I was saying before, is just really supporting women to be able to stand out, to be able to be that sort of voice, bold voice in their industry, not just to be a voice, but so they could make more money and have more impact, and we won't have all this women earning less for doing the same job and no woman in leadership and
women dropping out of the workworkse, like
women dropping out of the workforce. Every single job in December in the US was lost by a woman. I mean, that just blew my mind.
Like that, it's insane how much pressure we put on ourselves as women to have all of the balls in the air constantly. And if something falls down, it means we're a failure. No, if something falls down, it means we're human. One of my favorite things to say is failure is an event. It's not your identity. It happens to every single human being on the face of the earth. Welcome to being human.
Yeah. And it's also necessary, because if you haven't failed, that means you probably haven't done anything. You couldn't have stretched yourself in any way if you've never failed.
That is such a brilliant way to put it. Like if you haven't failed, are you even really trying?
Right.
So smart. So smart. So I wrote back this note, and I want to go back to something you were saying earlier about where a lot of women struggle, which is being the brand and, essentially like the thing that's for sale. And that really spoke to me on a deep level, because I feel a lot of these same pressures that we've been talking about, especially in launching the podcast. I remember I talked about it, and then I had the breakup, and that kind of pushed things back by a couple months. I had planned to launch it in October of 2020. That didn't happen. In January of 2021, my friend Chris, who was an earlier guest on the podcast, was like, "So when are you going to launch this thing?" I was like, "I don't know. I probably should set a date," but like just waffling. And finally, he was like, "Angie, gun to the head. When is the date?" And so I finally picked a date, which was March 8th, which is my mom's birthday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thank you. And I did the things that an entrepreneur who really wants to succeed should do. I reached out for help. I didn't try to do this alone in a vacuum. Like, I even got a friend who had launched a podcast. She shared her strategic plan with me and like all the things that she checked off before the podcast launch. I was so terrified of putting this thing out there. Are they going to like it? Am I working so hard to do this thing that really speaks to my soul, and then it's going to land with a thud and everybody's going to hate me and be like, this is a really stupid idea. So I dragged my feet on actually doing all of the things and checking the things off the list and getting ready for the launch until like 2 weeks before. And then suddenly it's panic mode. Like, oh shit, it's launch time and I don't have any of these things done. How am I going to get it done? I need to push the launch date. And I go back to Chris and I'm like, I think I'm going to push the launch date by a couple of weeks just so I give myself enough time to get these things done. And he goes, fuck no. and in that case, I was, in retrospect, of course, everything is hindsight. I'm really kind of glad that I had friends that were holding my feet to the fire and that I said this thing that I was trying to do out loud. I don't know.
Very key, saying it out loud.
I don't know. And I remember that when they challenged me, he and a group of my friends challenged me on why I wanted to push it. I said, I don't know how comfortable I am being the thing for sale. And I remember using those specific words. Like, I have spent so much of my career.
Isn't that interesting that you would phrase it that way, the thing for sale?
Because I've spent so much of my life, like my expertise in my career, being the behind the scenes person that makes somebody else successful. And I haven't had a problem with that until, last year I got the bug to, what if Angie was the one saying the smart things instead of branding the smart things for other people? But yeah, the thing for sale, what about that is getting to you?
Well, I think it's interesting that you phrase it as I'm afraid to put myself out there as the thing for sale, because it's not about you being the thing for sale. It's you're the person who's there to help. It's not, so it's not what if I was the thing for sale? It's what if I was the person who could help people? What if I was the person who could give people those answers, which is less sort of, scary or less.
Than
there's something about being the thing for sale that could kind of stop you in your tracks. But then,
I think that's actually it, because, now that I think about it in that language that I was using, that attaches me to their decision. That means if they say no, they're rejecting me personally. If I stay attached to this idea that they're buying me.
Right.
So, I'm so glad that we kind of stumbled on this, because I don't think I had even really fully unpacked that thought process for myself. It was just, for me, in the end, it became about being a person of my word. Like, my personal integrity was on the line. If I told these people I'm launching on this date and I don't launch on this date, then I feel like a failure. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let my friends down. So one of my tactics to kind of short circuit the self-sabotage is to involve other people in my planning and ask them to hold my feet to the fire, as it were, so that I get things done.
That's what coaching is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. You're making me think about these things in a totally new way. That's So I want to dig a little bit deeper into this, though, because this is fascinating to me. And with women that struggle. Okay, so we've talked about being the thing for sale. What else would they struggle with being like the face and the voice of the brands?
Yeah, I think being the face and the voice of the brand. And I mean, it seems so ridiculous now, but I remember It's just last year. Okay, like I am not a social media person, like
Me either.
at all. I now obviously I'm using it a lot more, and I'm gonna like skyrocket my like presence, but I was really not even on Facebook. So when I joined Facebook, like rejoined, one of my cousins, no joke, actually was about to get in touch with Facebook to say my identity must have been hacked because I'm not on social media. I mean, that's like it couldn't possibly be me, right? Because I don't use social media, But I decided to do a summit February last year, and I started planning it maybe from about from about October the year before. And I moved the date once. It was supposed to be end of January, and I did move it to end of February. But as the closer we got, the more I started thinking, oh, why did I do this? And with a summit, you can't back out. It was a pre-recorded summit. I had pre-recorded interviews with 28 people. I couldn't tell them, I'm not, what, guys, I can't really do this anymore. So, like, the summit had to go ahead, But that sort of, I just suddenly had that crisis of like, oh my God, what if people just think this is the most stupid thing ever? Like, why did I do this? If I hadn't had those interviews, if I didn't have to be committed to those people, I might have shelved the whole thing. Ooh. So it's the fact that I had interviewed them. I told them they were going to be on a summit. They had to be on a summit. Mm-hmm. So I had to deliver that summit. But if it was like I've wanted to start a podcast, and I think one of the reasons it's been easy for me to delay that is because you have to kind of, it's not like a summit where you've pre-recorded and then you come. You can kind of delay a podcast. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a lot of work. Like I understand now why. I think there's a stat out there somewhere that says, most podcasts don't go beyond, I think it's like 7 or 10 episodes. And that's because it's a lot of fucking work. Like to make a show sound good, look good, do all the show up in all the feeds. It's a lot of upfront work. And once you get past that first 10 episodes, I would say you fall into a rhythm. Gets a lot easier to release an episode a week or, whatever your production schedule is. But yeah, just to get over that first hurdle of like, get the first 10 episodes out was an enormous task that I'm so glad I did, because I have fun with this. Like, it's turned into a big joke with some of my friends, because they know on Wednesday is podcast recording day for me. And I will do a max of 3 episodes a day on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my happy days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I get to show up and talk to my friends, and we get to geek out over this stuff, and we get to share war stories and talk about how to move beyond it and how to find success despite all of the terror struggle and the feelings that come up in the process of doing this. The end of Wednesdays, I'm just like over the moon. I want to release every episode like yesterday. It's very, very hard for me not to just drop hundreds of hours worth of recordings on you guys right now.
That's great though. I mean, it's like you found your like groove,
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's why I think the work that you're doing is so important, because if I hadn't had people encouraging me to do this, holding me accountable, I wouldn't have discovered how much I love it. Like the fear would have won out and this show wouldn't exist. And God, if this show impacts one single solitary life out there, and somebody decides to start a business and just, fuck it, we're going to have fun with it. I'm going to screw things up along the way, but I'm just going to try this thing because it's calling to me.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Then my mission is complete. Like I only want that one person out there. I don't care if I'm ever my favorite murder famous, although that would be nice. Georgia and Karen call me. Oh, this is
if you just had a dog back there, but anyway.
I kind of heard the barking. It makes a nice ambiance to the show, though.
Oh, okay.
There's another episode that I recorded where somebody literally knocked on the door in the recording. And then I think in the editing process, my editor
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. And I think they missed it. There was some weird way, like it couldn't be cut out. And so now it's just an Easter egg. One of the podcast episodes, you'll have to go find it, has a, hold on, someone's at the door. Hold, please. But that's the beauty of this. Like, I think like the reason that I wanted to keep that in the episode after we discovered it was just to show that in the process of doing things, mess ups happen, mistakes happen, unexpected things that you didn't plan for happen, and you just keep going.
And it makes it, it makes it interesting.
Absolutely.
It keeps it interesting, you know.
I know we're recording this in May, and this thing that you're creating that you love so much and the mission that I'm totally behind is coming out in July, correct?
Yes. The membership is going to launch in July. And yeah, it will launch mid-July. And essentially it's just going to be a phenomenal, I don't want to go down a sort of plug.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Plug fest. But yeah, I mean, it is a community of women who are, you know, with big visions and big hearts, who trying to make a difference, and they want to get seen, they want to get heard, they want to get paid. That was like the tagline of the summit I did in March, right? And I'm just there to support in every way. You know, I'm bringing in experts on different topics who can, you know, experts such as Angie Coley.
Now it's a plug fest.
I know. Who support in different ways, but essentially we're taking people through what I call sort of the 5 pillars of building your authority. So being memorable, being credible, being visible, which will help you be profitable, and then scalable. So
I like that.
We'll sort of go through all of those. There'll be things like tech clinics, you know, there'll be, it's just so much. It's too much. It's too much. It's going to be awesome.
I like how you, and this is like such a nitpicky, nerdy copywriter thing, but like a little tangent. Like, I love how you named the pillars because of able. It's not just like follow these steps, but like you're able to do all these things. It's like a nice subtle nod to this.
I hadn't even thought about that.
I love it. Word nerds.
Yeah, that's cool.
I know, like the reason that I wanted you to talk about that is because I wanted people to hear the mission and the passion and like what you're trying to build, because I wanted it, like you told me that you had kind of a similar apprehension like I had with releasing the podcast into getting this out there in the world, and you're in kind of the middle of it. Do you want to share a little bit about what you're going through, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, I'm somebody who has struggled with putting myself out there. If it comes to, there's something like a podcast or a summit, put me on stage, I'm fine. I will speak. I'm completely fine, 100% comfortable. But when it's sort of, I don't know, like the sort of maybe the social media kind of stuff, or, you know, being really like the brand, it's somehow like a challenge. I mean, before I came to Canada like 3 and a bit years ago, and that's when I now started copywriting and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So it was the first time I had done business as me. You know, I'd been involved in businesses before back home, but I was always with like a partner, my brother actually, and he was always the like rainmaker. You know what I mean? And I was like operating, you know, I had a social behind the scenes person. Yeah. I had a social enterprise in which that was me, but even then I still included a lot of other people. So I don't know. I just never had that. I never had that sort of, okay, you are the brand, right? And it just makes me uncomfortable. That whole thing of like, I don't want to be seen as a self-promoter. I don't want to be like one of these people that's on social media going, hey, look at me. I don't want to be. And actually, it's not about being a self-promoter. It's about you have to share the message. It's a message I believe in. I believe that, women entrepreneurs need to focus on sort of being thought leaders, on being, recognized voices, and being people that people can look to, not just for you, but even for other women, for women, generations but younger than you,
Absolutely. And I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit here, but where do you think that fear comes from of being the brand? Is it they're not going to like what I have to say? Is it they're going to be haters on all my work? Like,
I think it's a combination of, I think there's that fear of being judged. Mm-hmm. There's the fear of being misunderstood. There's the fear of, I guess there's a fear of, will they still like me if I look like I'm trying to be all that? Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's such a, if you're a dude listening and you feel this way, hey, my brother, welcome to the club. I think almost every woman I know feels like this all the time. Like, if I start talking about my accomplishments, are they going to think that I'm bragging too much? Are they going to try and take me down a peg or two?
Exactly. Oh. Exactly. And it's really, it's like, it's deep. I mean, it's like fun. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's deep. It's like many layers deep. And I think about I'm Nigerian, right? So even though I spent a lot of my life in the UK, I schooled in the States, I'm now in Canada, but I'm Nigerian. That's my culture. That's how I grew up. And there's still this thing, even though I'm in no way are Nigerian women wallflowers or any such thing. They're usually extremely kind of like bold personalities, but there is still a sort of cultural reality that if you are seen as too out there, too trying to be too, loud and maybe promotional, you're less attractive. Mm-hmm. It's that thing of you don't want to be too educated or you won't find a husband.
Oh, God.
You don't want to be too. Do you understand what I mean? You don't be too opinionated, or no man will want you. You don't want to be, and even though that's not me. I'm highly opinionated, but I know that. Deep
especially, I feel that
it's there.
I feel that on a very deep level because I literally had one ex-partner, this is from when I was pretty young, but just speaking like myself, just using the words that I choose to use and making the arguments that I like to make and thinking deeply about things, which are all my personal style. He would constantly tell me that he hated the way I made him feel dumb. And that he thought that I was making him feel stupid on purpose.
Oh my God.
And that just broke my heart. Cause just by being myself, and I'm not even trying to throw out
I've dated that guy, Angie. I have dated that guy.
We all have. And so I was just like, there's not a whole, in that regard, with the don't be too much, there's not a whole lot of difference between Nigerian culture and Texan culture, because I got that to stop being too loud, stop swearing so fucking much. Don't show off your education. You definitely got to keep up a certain level of appearance and nobody's ever going to want to deal with you. And I even remember, to go back to the corporate office experience, I bet you'd appreciate this. One of those times when a dude stole my idea, I kind of lost it in the meeting. And I did get a little bit emotional, which, I don't know why anybody wouldn't get emotional if their idea was stolen right in front of them. But I basically called them out on it and said, I presented that idea and I'm glad that you like it. And my copy chief, my boss, called me into the office and he was like, he wanted to talk to me about my emotional outburst. And I said, would you be having this discussion with me if I was a man? And I'm not trying to, start a complaint or anything like that. But I honestly want to know, if I was a young man who had just had the same reaction that I just had in the office, would you be reacting this way to my response? Right. And to his credit, I love this man. He goes, honestly, I don't know. And I was like, okay, so thank you for acknowledging that some of that at least is like a reaction to the woman shouldn't be emotional in this case. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but my emotions are what make me so fucking great at what I do. I am empathetic. I understand people. I'm able to put myself in somebody else's shoes. I'm able to lead them without telling them what to do. I think these are qualities that a lot of women share.
Right.
Able to juggle multiple balls. All the women out there that had to juggle schooling and family and housework and jobs during the pandemic, like, oh my God, my freaking heroes. Mm-hmm. How are you still sane after all that? Like, I'm sending all of my love to you.
I know. I'm so glad my kids are, older. So
I just had a cat and a now ex-boyfriend, but I was grateful during that time. I didn't have to look after anybody but myself, and I realized how fortunate I was in that regard. But like, and all of these things that we've been told for so long are flaws. Are things that make us less attractive. I think it's now starting to come to the forefront that these are assets and fantastic. It's a feature, not a bug.
That is, I love that. It's a feature, not a bug. I love that. Yep.
Oh goodness. Oh, this has been a fantastic, thanks for letting me rant about so many things. I almost feel like I'm so glad you're on this mission, though. I think that you're doing such great work. I hope that there are a lot of women out there, and maybe even a few fellas and some others that are listening to this and get some value out of this. So tell us more about. As we're recording this in May, so that's why we're talking about it in the future. By the time you hear this, Nkiru will have launched.
Yes, by the time you hear this, Women Building Authority, the membership will have launched. Actually, the membership will be called the Accelerator, will have launched. The front-facing website, which will have all sorts of, valuable content to help with your online marketing and branding and visibility and confidence and all the rest would have launched. The agency is pretty much live now, so ready to support, anybody with their online marketing and branding and getting you out there and implementing all the things that you're putting off so that you don't spend 2 years planning a podcast that you could really get done. You could probably have gotten done in 3 months. Ouch.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself too.
But I love this because it's a very meta application of everything that we've been talking about, because Nkiru coming on this podcast is a form of her holding her own feet to the fire, which I think is fantastic. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Do you have another website or anything else that you want them to check out?
If you can go to womenbuildingauthority.com and you'll get all the information about the website and everything there. For the agency's website is authoritydigitalagency.com.
Awesome.
And I also have a little gift that will be in the links. It's a download 23 quick and easy ways to instantly boost your brand authority. You can grab that and start.
I will make sure they have all of these links, by the way. They can click them. So, all right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I can see a follow-up.
Thanks so much, Angie.
We're going to do a follow-up because I want to hear what it was like, the before and the after. We need that little bookends.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd be thrilled to be back.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Angie. Thank you, Angie's peeps.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.